like let's say if I was painting with green, I could highlight with yellow, or if I was painting with purple, I could highlight with blue, and that would help give it some variety. And it really does pop nicely, but it's just not the effect I'm going for. So the purity seal is very simple. I'm just hitting the edge of that, going around the circle. I don't need to go completely around. You can see I leave a break in it, and that redness just helps pop it out. I'm going to get my brush a little bit more wet, and I'm going to do his gauntlet first. Just using the edge of my brush, pulling it along. I'm just going to highlight each of his knuckles, each of the segments in his thumb. And then I'm going to go from his inner edge, because that is the part of the hand that is facing up towards his chest. So I just want the light to feel like it's coming down from that direction. And I'm going to go ahead and move down to his knuckles on his hand. Just tracing the edge of it. And then as far as the quote underside, I just want that first knuckle. That's all I need. That's all I need to bring his fist and let it pop. See? And there we have it. You can see the edges are very nice. We have some good detail. Fist really pops. Got the whole Hand of Doom thing going on if you're a Hellboy fan. So here we go. We're going to move on. Continue using the red. I'm going to do his shoulder pads. Now these aren't the typical shoulder pads. These are actually from a different company, but I really enjoy the look of them. The architecture of it is fantastic. So if you have regular shoulder pads at home on your Space Marines, I would recommend doing the inner edges and not so much the outer edges, because doing the inside edge helps outline the rest of the shoulder and make it pop. If I do the outside edge, I only do it on the upper piece towards his head. And that's to help draw the eye into the head, because that's my goal. That's how I like to have it. That's where the model's looking. That's where I want people to look. We're taking our time, moving slowly. All right, and you can see the difference. We have the nice highlight here and the unhighlighted shoulder pad, and how drastic just a little bit of bright red paint can make it look. How much that brings to the table. No puns intended. Using just the edge of our brush, just rolling it along. Doing my inside edges, all facing towards my left. Alright, and you can see how much more dramatic those shoulder pads look, how it frames the model so nicely. Alright, so we're going to do one final highlight on the track lighting before we move on to the blue. Blue is the most tedious thing because that's our largest part of the armor, or part of the model. Armor is all nice and deep blue. So I'm using Cygnus Yellow, if I can get it to come out. Always remember to keep your handy dandy paper clip. Are you serious? This is so embarrassing. I know this is just going to explode everywhere too. God dang it. So, I guess this is a valuable lesson on how to clean it out. There we go. That's all we needed, a single drop. I just want to hit the eyes. Okay, so we're going to use, not our 5-0, we're going to use our 10-0, smallest brush I have. And we're going to get just a little bit of paint. And we're going to come in the eye, just a little bit, just the tiniest little bit. There we go. I know you can barely see it here, but in theory the eyes really pop now. So moving on, we're going to do our final piece of highlighting. This is with Signar Blue Highlight. Those of you who have kept track at home, the base blue is several layers of several different kinds of blue paint, because instead of actually just using Cantor blue, by doing all the multiple layers, I've been able to give the blue more depth. It doesn't feel as flat, doesn't look as flat, and it pops out nicely. So here we go. Using just the edge of my brush, dragging it along, taking our time. I like to start with the head, because that will help me with the direction for all the rest of my highlighting, especially with the blue. Because which way the model is looking is very important. Using just the tip of my brush, just the edge of my brush. There we go, slowly taking our time. I'm going to get along the top of the visor there. Alright, so we have our helmet pretty much done. Just going to hit the back edge there. I'm going to do the back edge of his collar. Just a little bit, the inner edge. Alright, moving forward. The outside edge of his collar. Don't need to get the entire thing, like I said. Just break it up a little bit. Highlighting less is more. You just want to imply the shape. Let the eye finish it. You don't have to do all of the hard work. If you line your entire model, it tends to look too busy in my opinion, unless you have a very steady hand. And I do not. So getting along his torso, I'm just going to do the one side. Like I said, everything, the model's looking to the left. I want everybody's eyes to go to the left too. I don't need to go along the whole edge. just go a little bit, just a little bit. Just to help draw the eye that way. Working our way down, taking our time. And if you're doing this for commission work, it's hard to want to take your time because you know it's not your model. You're selling it. You don't need it. But still want to put your signature on it, as it were. You want it to look good. You want it to be something you can be proud of, even if you're selling it away. Working our way down the leg. So you can see how I'm working my way down the model. And that's just because that's how I feel like it should flow. You want to paint in the way you want the eye to flow. Because if that's what caught your eye to paint it that way, that's what's going to catch their eye when they're observing your work. Moving down his leg, just hitting the edges of things. Just the top, left edges. Sometimes you might find you make a little mistake. Just draw it out a little more. Just build a nice crisp edge. If you have to draw your paint down a little bit more to build that crisp edge, that's what it takes. Moving on. Looks like I may have thinned out my paint a little too much. I have. So my highlight is too watery right now. So you see I use the napkin to dry it up a little bit. And you don't want a watery highlight, you want a nice thicker paint. If your highlight is watery, it'll flow into your cracks and become basically a wash. And you don't need a highlight on your wash. The entire point of the wash is to be dark. So you want this nice bright highlight. Moving down to the feet. Alright, don't need to highlight the back too much. Just touch some edges, just some corners. And this will help carry the eye around the model, which is all I want. Working our way around with his feet. Oops. Sometimes when you base your models, find your base starts working against you. Alright, so continuing that trend of keeping highlights on the left side of things. The left side of things. Alright, so our legs are done. Almost. Get those inner ankles, because they're to the left, so we want the left to pop. Alright, so we're done with our chest and legs. We're going to move on. I'm going to go ahead and do this gauntlet here. I can feel it. I can feel it calling to me. Hitting the little rivets and things, just a little dot. Boop. Just pick out those rivets a little bit. Just let everyone know it's there. That's all it takes. Just a little dot. Cleaning our brush again. Moving on. I'm going to do the inner arm a little bit. Just the top. Just the top. Don't need to go into do too much. Just the top and to the left. That's all we need. Just want to brighten it up. Implication of things. There we go. Shoulders done. Moving on to the next shoulder. Just want the eye to draw along. Alright, moving down his arm. Just hitting the tops of things. We're going to go on gauntlet. We're going to do similar to how we did the red. Just hitting the knuckles, curve of the thumb. That's all it takes. Just outline your fingers basically. Let everyone know it's there. Gonna get that first finger on the edge and then the rest, which is hit the tops of the knuckles. Just the edges. Go along the edge of the fist covering. Alright. Almost done. Just need to do the blue on the backpack. In case you were all wondering how I lost my voice, this is how. Remember, we just want it from that one angle. Just from the left. Just from the left. Because that's where our eye is drawn, that's where we want it. Hit these little rivets. Boop, boop. Just hitting the left side of things, that inner left edge. That's all we need. Eyes drawn to the left. And on the back, when we do our highlighting, we just want from the top and to the left. That's all we need. Don't really need to do too much on the back, because like I said, we're not going to spend a lot of time looking at it. Just want to help pick out some of the detail. Remember, we have this purity seal back here, so that is dominating most of it. That's what we want to have stand out. Don't need anything else to stand out. Just hitting the little vents. Just see how I'm just dragging my brush along, just using the edge of it. So you get those nice highlights. Just have to do the edge. That's all it takes. Hit up a couple more things here. A couple rivets. Alright. And that is almost done. Just one little spot on the foot that's bugging me. Ooh, I totally botched that. Remember, if your paint's wet, you could probably still wipe it off with your thumb. Not a big deal. Alright, and there we have it. That is a finished highlighted model. At about an hour long. I hope you have learned a lot. Feel free to skip through this thing or just watch the 30 seconds at the end. Or at the next video, we'll do the close-up. And yeah, have a good one. That is how to highlight Crimson Fists. And we have a completely done painted model.